Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a compound gear train using OnShape. So we're going to create a new document. We are going to call this Vex Compound Gear Train. Having trouble typing. So in a previous video I showed you how to put the Vex pieces into OnShape. We're going to start to use those here. So I'm going to go to Assembly, Insert, and I'm going to go to my other documents, and here are my Vex V5 parts. So first thing I'm going to insert is a base plate. Give me a nice large surface to start to apply my gears to. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to click on Vex V5 gears, and I'm going to do a 36. I'm actually going to do 2 of those. I'm going to put in a 60. Non-high strength. And I'm going to put in an 84. Oh, that's high strength. We're going to click that, but we're going to come up here to our actual 84 tooth gear and put that in there. Click our green check. We're done. I'm going to right click and delete my high strength. Don't need that one in there. All right, these are the 4 gears I'm going to use to make my gear train. First thing we need to do, as we did in the simple gear train, is our base plate needs to be solid. So we're going to click on that, and I'm going to fix it. So now this does not move, and it is stationary for me. So as we did before, we're going to start by putting this gear onto my base plate. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to hover over the outside of this box. Oops, actually we're going to hit Revolute command first so it knows what I'm hovering for. We're going to hover there. I'm going to hold the Shift key so that my middle piece doesn't disappear on me. And I'm going to choose that middle section. Let's come down to over here. We'll use this part of the base plate. That looks like a good spot to start. Hit Shift, click on the middle of that circle, and there is my first piece. Now that piece is actually underneath the base plate. As I scroll around here with my 3D mouse, I can see it's on the bottom, so I'm going to click there to pull it back to the top and solve that. And it automatically clicked Revolute 2. I'm going to close that so we can scroll back over, and I can show you that this piece is on there and it is spinning for me. All right, let's go back to our main view here. And now these pieces we need to start to insert. I'm going to put the 60 gear down, 60 tooth gear down, and attach it to this one. We're going to put the 36 on top of that and attach the 84 next to that. So first thing I want to do is I want to get this in the proper orientation. So I'm going to start that 90, hit enter, hit OK. We're just going to do that for all of these right now. 90, enter. And 90, enter. So these are all in the proper orientation. We just need to put them in the proper spot now. All right, so as we did before, I'm going to click on the top view, bring this over, kind of get an idea of which hole I'm looking at. We're looking at that one right there, so we're going to put that into this slot right there. And I'm going to do a Revolute command. Hover over. Zoom in a little bit, hit Shift right there, and this was the hole we were looking at. Shift, click, it is upside down again, click there, and we are good. So these 2 gears are meshed. Again, we don't have a gear relationship between them, so we're going to close the Revolute command and open up our gear relationship. Choose our first 2 revolutes, and our gear ratio between those is 1.666667. All right, so as I spin one, those 2 are meshed. All right, so as you can see, this is kind of spinning at a different rate than the other gear is. So gear ratio is out over in, number of teeth out divided by number of teeth in, and this is my out driver. However, unfortunately, it has that backwards for some reason. It's assuming that my other one is the driver, so I'm going to switch this then to 36 divided by 60. That's going to be 0.6. If I click here, and intending this to be my driver, that seems to be lining up a little better. But notice that we're off on our teeth. So again, we're going to come up here as we did in the other command. Oops, did it again. We're going to click to open that up. We're going to go mate connector, and I'm going to move this one, let's say by 10 degrees. Let's see what that does for us first. Didn't seem to do much at all. Oh, we are on the wrong mate connector. Move 10 degrees. It seems to only be moving the inside of that. So we're going to set that back to 30, and we're going to move this one. And we're going to change that to, let's try 15. Oh, perfect. We'll leave it. We're good. So now this is working perfectly. That first gear is set up, and that gear train is working good. So what we need to do now is we need to add this 36 tooth gear on top of that one. However, I'm sure there is a better way to do this. I have not found it yet, but I'm going to insert a drive shaft now, and I want a common connection between those two pieces. So this drive shaft is configurable, so I'm going to click on here, and here's the drive shaft I'm going to put in. We're going to make that a 4-inch long drive shaft. Click. And enter. Close it, and we're good. Again, we're going to orient this properly. So we're going to click on this one, drag that to 90 degrees, hit enter, and escape, get out of that, and we are good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to connect this drive shaft to this, and we are going to do a revolute mate between those two. I'm going to click on the very top center of that, come down to my gear, and I'm going to hit shift and hit on the center there. And I want this to come up a little bit, so I'm going to offset that. We'll come up in the Z direction by 2 inches. And click OK. Alright, so now we have a drive shaft. That drive shaft is not spinning yet with us. So I'm going to come over here. We're going to go back to my top view and orient this a little bit. And I'm going to do a gear relationship now between Revolute 2 and Revolute 3. And I'm going to give that a gear ratio of 1 and hit OK. So now when I spin this gear, it's going to spin that drive shaft with that one. And I can come in and I can play with that, and I can make sure that this is set up properly, and I can move that so that that works out. So let's come up here to Revolute 3. We'll go to that mate connector. We'll move that, and we'll move this by, it looks like 45 degrees should do it perfectly. Click OK. And now when I move my gear, this is set up inside there, and that spins with it properly, and that 45 degrees just kind of jumped off a little bit on us. We'll blame it on the graphics card. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add that 36 tooth gear inside of that drive shaft also. So I'm going to come up here, Resolute command. I'm going to slide inside, shift, hit the center, come over to my drive shaft, choose the center of that drive shaft, boom. It is here. Now we need to move that down a little bit. Sorry for getting dizzy on the movement on the mouse. We need to move that down. So I'm going to offset that in the negative Z direction. Let's see what negative 1.5 looks like. Still a little bit lower, so we can go negative 1.65. That looks perfect. We'll leave it at that. All right, so this connection here is set up We are spinning one, but notice our other drive shaft is not spinning. So we are going to do a resolute command, and we're going to choose resolute 3, revolute 3, and revolute 4. I'm sorry, not a revolute command. I apologize. We're going to do the gear ratio, the gear relationship, and we're going to do 3 and 4. And we are going to have that gear ratio of 1, lock that in place. I spin this, and those guys all spin together, and my gears that are on top of each other are spinning the same direction on the shaft, so we are good on that. Alright, so the last thing we need to do now is add our 4th gear, or our 2nd gear train. So we're going to slide this down here a little bit closer to the rest of the family. And I'm going to do another revolute. I'm going to, actually I'm going to cancel that for a minute, do my top view, and where are we trying to attach this? We want this to come up above a little bit. Now we're going to do the top view, and we want this one to end up in that set of holes right there. So it's going to be this set of holes right here. We'll have 2 open ones, and then that. So we're going to do a revolute. We're going to shift and hit the center of that. 2 open holes, shift, went away, shift, hit the center of that. There we go. We're upside down. We're going to click that to bring it back to the top. And now we need to do the same thing. We need to offset that to get it to mesh with the other gear. So we're going to offset that. Offset in the Z direction. I don't know, what's half an inch look like? Well, we're going to go negative half inch. It's going to go the other direction. And that is looking like we are, well, OnShape's thinking about it. We're still a little bit high, so let's change that to negative 0.45. That looks perfect. We'll leave that. A little sloppy. I'm sure there's a better way to do this. We can add connections under here. We can put shafts and shaft collars, and we can go crazy with it. But we're just trying to show a gear relationship in this video. So you guessed it. The last thing we need to do is a gear relationship now between revolute 4. Where's our actual gear? Is that revolute 4 and 5? And that would be a gear ratio of 2.33333. Make sure I chose the gear and not the shaft. I think I may have chosen the shaft instead of the gear, so we're going to delete that, and we're going to put a new gear revolute in between 3 and 5 of 2.33333. And I wonder if our gear is upside down again. So instead of, oops, we're going to do that at 0.42. And let's see if that fixes our relationship. It does. It seems to be spinning in the right speed. However, we do need to reverse our direction. And now when we spin this one, that gear spins with it, and it looks like we're meshed pretty good, so we don't have to change the mesh on that at all. And there we have a compound gear train. So as I spin one, we can see the relationship all the way out to the other side. So we have two simple gears, two simple gear trains connected in a compound gear train. I hope this video helps. Thank you very much.